appreciate. And I will not take up too much time, but I would like to give you a little presentation about what I do and what we are doing actually, because I brought my wonderful wife Ariane with me, and also my business partner, Mr. Thomas Gottweis, who is my direct partner in crime, in what we are doing as a business now since 2013. So let me, first of all, before we go into this presentation, how product information drives business outcome, let me tell you a couple of words about myself, about my history. So a little bit of my biography you have already heard, but maybe let's start from the beginning. So I'm originally born and raised in a town in the western part of Germany called Essen. Actually, Essen, I don't know how much of German's history you know. Essen is pretty much what Detroit is for the United States. Essen is that for Germany, right? And we also have the equivalent to the Ford family, right? We have the Krupp family, I think pretty well known as well, right? And they, for several hundred years, they started and built out their industrial enterprise and left huge marks also within the city, not just because of all the industrial history, and some of it can be still visited, some of it still exists very alive, but also actually some complete housings and for the workers, and a lot of heritage, a lot of culture, and they even have their own castle, which is called the Villa Rügel, right? And this place actually had its own room for the emperor to visit, when the German emperor came to visit. Right? And it's nowadays it's open to the public. It's actually a great place. It's a little bit bigger than the Ford Villa actually. So again, born and raised in this city, then went to the military, to the artillery in 1991. In 1993, I started studying at the Rheinisch-Westfälisch Technische Hochschule, RWTH. Actually, that's pretty much an equivalent similar to the MIT, right? And I did mechanical engineering there, right? During this time, I met Ariane, and we decided we spend time together, and that was 28 years ago, so quite a while already. Then when I started my career, instead of doing mechanical engineering directly, I went into IT. I helped automotive suppliers to go through these quality audits for which they required data. Right? So started with some Excel spreadsheets and went into databases, then started to write my own applications, and that got me into that whole subject, data. In 2000, I went into e-commerce. That was the time when all these startup companies were coming up. I also was in one, which didn't get that far, but my fire was ignited, and after I finished my studies with my master degree, I decided to stay in that kind of business. So my first employer was one of the big agencies, advertising agencies in Europe, called Publicis. Amongst other subjects, I worked for a large car manufacturer, for Renault Nissan at that time. And then 2004, an American agency hired me called McCann Erickson. And that got me into General Motors, Opel and Vauxhall, and then GM in general. My career evolved, and it finally led me here, to this place. 2010, we settled into Birmingham, Michigan. In 2011, I made another change to a German software company called Heiler. That company already at that time, that's what I'm going to talk about, was a leading vendor of product information management software. So the master data of the products manufacturers, distributors and retailers sell to other entities or directly to their customers, right? So, we are surrounded with products, obviously, and people are buying them every day. But in order to be able to run these businesses, you need the data, right? And that is actually what product information management software helps with. At this company, I was in charge of running professional service and consulting, and also pretty much I was the gentleman who was in charge of the whole business here in the United States. Until 2013, another bigger company from California bought that German company, and I decided that I run my own business, and that's what I'm doing since 2013, and what I'm showing you. What's more, right? We have a son who's 21 years old, who came with us 2010 to attend actually primary school, and then going up, obviously, and since 3 years, he is at Michigan State University studying data science, so he's following the footsteps of his dad, obviously. Right? So, having enough said about that, let's talk about what we are doing. And this kind of a presentation, if you want to attend one of these, which are going a little bit deeper, you will also find them in the internet. You just have to go to LinkedIn and sign up for one of our events. So we do regularly these kind of events every month. We do something new, and actually the next time we are going to have a special presenter. That will be my son. He will talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Right? So will be, I think, very interesting too. So who are we? What is product information management? And why is it so important that you have great data? Right? What happens if you don't have great data? What is excellent product data really in the first place? And how do you achieve it? And then, well, you can ask questions and we can talk, and well, probably we'll go to the next agenda points, but let's see where we are. So first of all, who are we? Right? So as I said, I think as was said from the beginning, we are a little boutique firm who consists of two business entities. One is Digital Consulting House LLC, which was started in Birmingham and now is located in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. And 2015, I also started another entity, a German LLC, right? A German GmbH, but it's actually the literal translation to it is limited liability company, so it's pretty much the same. And we have a couple of other people who help us. So we have some people in India, a little offshore center in India, which is growing now as well, and which we'll probably start to incorporate very soon. And we also have some folks down here in the US, in Florida, and also in Guadalajara, Mexico. Right? So what do? Mostly our customers are B2B companies, so manufacturers and distribution companies. There are a few retailers, but again, most of them are selling their products to other companies so that they sell them, right? So like, for instance, electrical manufacturers producing electrical parts, or distribution companies who distribute building materials or also electrical materials. Somewhat over time, over the last 10 years, our focus really has become anything electrical. So we know electrical parts and components and actually complex products even, right, which are configurable pretty well, right? So we provide advisory, we implement, we also help companies to publish their data, right? And publishing is not just in the internet or website, but it could be also a print brochure. It could be something like a catalog, an industrial catalog. In earlier days, a lot of companies, especially the manufacturers or distributors, they had these big paper catalogs, 3, 4, 5, 6 pounds, right? Obviously, they were all done manually, and then with the help of some software like InDesign, they did that. They still did it via copy and paste, right? We help companies to take the copy and paste out of it and publish directly out of the database, right? So then integration with the various software packages, ERP, PLM, so you name it. Nowadays, every bigger company has a zoo of 20, 30, 40, 50 and more applications, which is not actually easy to keep them in sync. It's a big problem from a data perspective. Another big thing we are doing is data stewardship and taxonomy. So putting order into the data, right? When you're navigating in an online shop, for instance, you are looking for women's apparel, you're looking for women's shoes, right? Then you navigate a hierarchical order, right? How do I put together, or how do I create that hierarchical order and attribute the products correctly so that it actually works for the end consumer? You as a consumer don't think a lot about it, but there is a lot of thought behind and a lot of science behind what's happening, right? The successful companies, they have the data science behind these online shops like Amazon, for instance. They have the science behind this, right? And they actually employ hundreds of data scientists just for that purpose, right? To make sure that you as a customer always get what you are interested in, what you want, and you have the right information and the right amount of visualization media in front of you so that you are likely to buy, right? So there's a lot of psychology behind that as well, right? So and then in our days, well, ChatGPT, now everyone knows ChatGPT, artificial intelligence and machine learning. You could write product description now without actually writing them, right? Like just put that automatically. Obviously it's not that easy, but theoretically yes. Or decide what is this product, right? Is this a shoe, is it a skirt, is it a drilling machine, or whatever is it, right? Could have artificial intelligence decide about it. Right, and then we train people, right? So, and here you see a couple of people, obviously, apart from myself. You see Tom, he's the president, right? We have a gentleman called Christoph Wesselburg, who is an expert in publication, and a gentleman who is running our marketing and also runs our India center, Mr. Sumit Rai. Actually, a lot of people who work with us or who attend our webinars, they get in contact with him, even if they don't know it. So, so far, questions? Okay, so what is product information management, right? So, and actually I have just, this is actually some electrical cables, right? So I just have one picture, which hopefully illustrates it well. So there is a definition, if you go to Wikipedia, there is also another place where you can go, which is called Techopedia, which is providing like the encyclopedia about technology, about information technology in particular. Right? There is a definition, right? So product information management is not a software necessarily, it's a set of processes which a company or an organization uses to evaluate, identify, store, manage, and distribute product data and information, right? So if you, let's assume you run an online store and you have a couple of thousand products you want to sell, you want to make sure they have a short description, they have a long description, they have images, but also they are classified, right? So that depending on the classification, these products get the right attributes, because a shoe has other attributes than a drilling machine, right? So the drilling machine, for instance, has an attribute which is like the entry current, right? If it's maybe being usable in Europe and in the US at the same time, which most electrical devices are, right? Whilst the shoe maybe has things like color and shoe size, right? Which you don't have with a drilling machine. So you have to make sure that, again, the products are classified right and they have all the attributions populated. So in order to have all this, what you need, you have to make sure you have, again, you have pictures, maybe a video, you need all the data from the supplier, you want to go out to your e-store, mobile, print, and any kind of marketing material, right? All of these great applications, which everyone is using nowadays, are impossible without the right amount of data. And actually the large companies, Amazon and others, they got it right. The smaller one, a lot struggle. So that's you see still like online stores where there is only one picture and where there's a bad description and where you really as a consumer really don't know why should I buy this here? Well, it's someone else, and as a reference, always Amazon. Amazon always has it, right? So, and that's the reason why a lot of these retail stores, because they don't have this right, go bankrupt. A lot of the bankruptcies, if you really look into it, like of companies like Sears, for instance, right, or others, can be traced back to a lack of proper data management. Believe it or not, but that's what it is. They were not able to do right what Amazon was always able to do, right? So, and why do you do that, right? Why do you try to establish proper processes? It has real business impact, like faster time to market. That's a big one, right? Let's assume you are a retailer, you have a new shirt you want to sell, right? If it takes you 30 days to only get the data and the pictures and everything in shape before you can put it onto your online store, well, these 30 days, you're not selling. Someone else will, right? So that's a big one, and that's a lot of companies still suffer from not having that right? Higher conversion rates. The data is better, as I just mentioned, and you have like a better presentation of what you're selling. It's like in the old days, well, you sell more, people are more likely to convert, to become a customer. That's what conversion means, right? And a higher revenue then, of course, right? Make more money. And last but not least, also higher margins. So there are real factual business reasons why you want to make sure as a company that you get that right. Well, I pause here for a second. Just, does anyone have a question? Okay, that is not the case. That can only mean two things. Either I'm doing a great job and you understand everything, or you understood nothing.
Derek, I was just going to say,
right?
It went over his head. I pretty much I'm following the bounds.
I got it.
Yeah. So again, that's pretty much a hidden world, right? So let me see if I find anything which is a water bottle or so would be nice. Actually, you know that all the products which you can buy in a grocery store, they have a barcode behind, right? This is not just for the cashier at the register to get it right. This barcode is universal, globally, like Rotary, right? So behind that is also a global organization which provides these barcodes and provides numbering ranges to manufacturers and to retail, which they can use for their products, right? So then when you do that click, you also have an interface to that global database, which gives you all the information, like the logistical information about that product. Because this product does not just come as a unique unit in the grocery store. It comes also in a pack, and it comes in a bigger pack, and it comes on the pallet. And they all have these barcodes, the UPC, the Universal Product Code. And there are different barcode systems in the world, right? But they all lead to one organization, which is called GS1, right? So that's what we, as consumers, we don't see that. There is an iceberg of like logistics and data flow behind that. And again, the companies who have that right have an advantage in our digital world. And the others who don't, well, you don't hear from them too much anymore because they go bankrupt, right? So, so why is it important? In particular, our world, the B2B world. So as I said, we sell our software services and the software we are representing. We sell that mostly to B2B customers, right? But these B2B customers have customers, and they are typically also businesses, business buyers, right? And the business buyers, what are they in their private life when they go back to home or just leave their home office? They are consumers, right? So they behave like consumers. So also in the B2B world, you have to make sure that you attract them in the same way, right? That they find the information they need to make their buying decisions. You have less physical interaction, that's also a big one, 2020 killed the business model of a lot of businesses. Right? They had to either reinvent or, again, leave the market. Right? So you have to have, also in the business world, B2B-like digital shelf spaces, right? So that well, everyone finds what they're looking for. So if you are buying stuff for your company, I'm not sure if anyone does here, then you will find that there are lots of tools provided by the manufacturers and by the distribution companies to give you everything you need to find what you need and them, right? So that you buy with them, right? So, here's one example. What is all part of that? So it's one company, one big distributor, one electrical distributor, telling their manufacturers what has to be on there, like brand name, long description, images, UPC I just mentioned. Without UPC, without this barcode number, you can't sell anything. Also not intercompany. If a product ever gets to an end consumer, it does need to have this UPC, this barcode. Right? Search keywords you need, like images, 360 degrees, videos, whatever. Right? So we have come up with the concept of the hot 7 product characteristics every product needs to have, right, from a data perspective. Descriptions, images, keywords, references, who bought this, also bought this, right? Right? Or this is an accessory to that. Like you have to, you buy this electrical device, you need the 2 batteries here, right? Technical specs, then additional assets like brochures, videos, and logistics and so on. It turns out, when you really do it right, and the amount of money you're investing, that at a certain point, your data becomes a more valuable asset than the physical product, right? Yeah, the physical product you can reproduce at any point in time, but you need to have the information, right? And then for a manufacturer, obviously, all the CID drawings and everything else here, right? So it's lots of data. So how do I get there? Right? There's a simple method. Well, it's not that simple in reality, but there's a simple approach. Has anyone ever heard of SMART? Oh, some people are nodding, right? Who can say what it means?
Specific.
That's great.
Achievable, realistic, that's timetable.
And time. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, like specific, measurable, achievable, right? Realistic and timely, right? A goal, only a goal which applies or which applies to these criteria or complies with these criteria is really a goal, right? If I say I want to improve my product quality, well, yeah, great. What does it mean? By when? Right? But if I say, for instance, I want to reduce the number of complaints for this specific product line by end of the year by 40%, that is a SMART goal. So you need to have SMART goals first, right? Then it's also good to let's just check out how data mature are you. We have a maturity spider web, right, which checks certain capabilities of a company in terms of data. So how accurate is that data? How consistent is it? How complete? How fast can you publish? How efficient is your process? Right? Which actually puts a somewhat subjective measure into an objective scale, right? Which allows you also then over time to look, okay, how did it evolve, right? So, and another thing we are doing from a strategy perspective is we look at 4 dimensions for excellence. What does it mean, right? In order to start an endeavor, any endeavor, a Rotary Club event, for instance, you always need 4 ingredients, plus 1, right? You need the people. You need an organization. You need to have the people who are doing it, right? These people need to have a process or a plan, right? They need to know what they are doing. They need to have the knowledge, right? And they need to have the right tools at hand, right? If one of these is lacking, you're running into problems, right? So every measure, every strategy you're taking, it's always a good idea to think about it into these 4 dimensions. And then there is another one, and I think that is also like a big trait of the Rotary Club, and that's culture. and leadership. Right? Without culture, without actually the willingness from the top to drive change, right? And the willingness of the organization to accept that, you will not get that far. And I've seen it in my life a lot. Right? That is very essential. Right? Culture is the most essential part. One man wiser than I once said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Right? And it's totally true. Right? So, and well, then the question up left is, how do you measure success? How do you do that? Well, and that leads me to this roundtable, or multiple roundtables. Thank you.
Great.
So really, if you want to sell anything in this world, you need a company like you to help set them up.
Yeah, we help people selling their products, right? Yes. Yes, that's what we do. We go a little bit beyond even. We help companies also to market themselves, right? Also by means of social media like LinkedIn, for instance. Right? That's what we do too.
Are there like software, like in the ERP world, there are specific software?
Mm-hmm.
So do you sell some of those software?
Yes, we do. We do, but we are independent. So
Right,
actually,
but like what are the names of the ones?
Informatica, for instance, where the company who bought that company I was working in, that German company, they are only great in PIM because of the company I was a part of, right, which they bought.
Okay.
Another company in that space is a company called Stibo, which is a Danish company. It's a former print shop of the Danish court. They are still the print shop of the Danish court, but they diversified over the centuries, right? So they are like 1700 something. Then you have companies like SAP, which are in there as well, right? They offer also solutions. And there's a zoo of other software products out there, around about 120, 130 globally. Most of them are from Europe, a couple from the United States, but most of them would trust even further. Right? So that's and here again the culture piece comes into play. The senior management, the top management of the company really must want that. If they don't, it falls apart. I see that a lot. Right.
Does the approach, generally speaking, vary whether you're working with a B2B versus a B2C as it relates to your product?
Well, when we are doing B2B, we are very much focused on things like taxonomy, right? And then bringing data from product when it comes to manufacturing, from systems which are related to construction, which are related to the engineering of products, right? So we look, and when we are doing B2B business, also typically the data depth is much deeper. The closer you get to the origin, to the manufacturer, the more data you will have. So we have more focus really on the data side and how to put the data in order and how to also present data in a way that people will find what they are looking for, right? Especially the business buyers. Whilst if you're looking from the consumer perspective, we look more into the user experience of the customer. So we start from the other side and drive then the data to make sure that everything which is needed to drive the customer experience is really there. And that might be only a fraction of the data which came from the manufacturer. And it might be even that some of the data coming from the manufacturer is not even usable for consumers, so you have to replace it. Like, there are companies who are doing a reshooting of all the products they are getting, right? Even if they get the images, they say, no, we can't use that, we do our own ones, right? And make their own descriptions and everything. Yeah.
I mean, this has been kind of the most critical thing. In so many industries where companies are being sold or purchased or they're evaluating much more, it's simple as an influencer. It's not, obviously, it's nice to make person say, I have 3 million people, on my Instagram, for example. That's not what they want to know.
Right.
Who are they? Where are they located? How old are they? What, and so forth and so on. All that data, that's the treasure trove.
That's the treasure. Yeah, it
treasure.
doesn't end with product, right? There are other data domains which you're combining, like your customers, your suppliers, your locations. Like if you're a big company, you might have like thousands of different locations, right? And not every product is sold at every location. And then there is a whole transactional data, which I'm not even talking about, which you want to aggregate to get some analytic conclusions out of it, right? So again, this product master data is already big, but it's only one piece, and you have to connect the other dots as well, right? So for that, you also have people like data scientists, right? And I hope that my son also will play a little role over time, but you never know. Okay.
So, big question. Are we allowed to buy stock in the company that creates the UPCs? Because if there's only one provider of UPCs, it seems like a good investment.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not working that way. You have to buy a membership, and it costs 25 grand.
Oh, I know.
Right? As a starting point. So,
Darn.
right? They're not selling stocks.
On your birthday?
You're right.
They're not selling stocks, unfortunately.
We're pulling it right, yeah.
Right.
Rotary Club will buy one. Wow.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Maybe this summer we can have your son speak about the IA?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to ask him.
Sorry, I got it.
I have to ask him, but yes, in the summer. Yeah, why
Yes.
not? Why not?
Okay, I'll send you a note.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Very well. He's actually the technical director.